We've been able to put habits in place with our guys so that they're going to react accordingly and react the proper way. As we go through the season, we don't necessarily plan out the rest of the season, but what we do is say, what are the areas we're going to prioritize? So what are the areas on a day-to-day basis that we're going to make important? And that kind of feeds back into what our identity is. And everybody's identity can be different, but what do we want opponents to say about us when we're done playing them? That's a little bit that I look at identity. And so we want to make sure those things are emphasized first. So in every day, for example, last year, every day we tried to do a puck support thing because we needed to have the puck more. We had done a poor job the year before. We had lost our confidence with the puck. And so every day that was part of what was going to be in practice. And I would have that in there. Every day we want to win the net front. That's something that ultimately that's where all the goals are scored in the National Hockey League is in the net front area. So that kind of starts your practice plan. And then what systems are most important to us? Because in the NHL, you can't cover everything. You just don't have enough practice time. So let's make sure we're great in these couple areas. And so we picked 2 or 3 systems that we're going to make sure we're great at and carry forward with that.
When it comes to teaching systems, I would look at, say, if you're doing a 1 puck drill, it's really easy. And I mean, if you spend enough time in rinks, you'll see the scenario where perhaps, you've got a 5-on-5 scenario and, coach is running the drill. One player's out of position, there's one kind of minor mistake, whistle goes, everybody comes in down on one knee, we re-explain it. And before you know it, 20 minutes have gone by and everybody's, lucky to have gotten 1 rep. Is there any sort of balance that you take in those scenarios, whether it's, the feedback comes after the drill? Do you consistently blow it down? How do you manage that part of practice?
Well, I'd start by saying, the principles of what I believe in haven't changed. And I just spoke about this at a USA Hockey Clinic. They haven't changed from when I was coaching junior to college, the American League to the NHL. My beliefs and my principles haven't changed. What has changed is the parameters and kind of the time frame of how much time we can practice and what we can spend time on. And part of what I talked about there was understand that systems don't win. Players with great habits and great skill win, and great fundamentals. And so before we even talk about how I handle systems, I'd like to make sure I make the point that if this is your ceiling as a hockey team, so you've got your 5 players on the ice able to play kind of in unison together. Okay, once you've established that, that's your ceiling until your individual players get better. And as they get better, they can pound that ceiling upwards. So for me, if I'm a coach at any level, I'm saying to myself after every practice, what percentage of the time did I spend on skill development, on skill acquirement, I would call it, learning how to shoot the puck better, learning how to pass better, learning how to skate better, whatever those things might be. How much time did I spend on skill acquirement? Number 2, how much time did I spend on helping our kids' hockey sense or instincts grow, or our players' hockey sense or instincts grow? And how you do that, in my mind, is small games. The game of hockey is way too fluid for systems to dominate. It just doesn't. It does in football. It doesn't in hockey. It's too fluid. Players have to read and react on the ice. And that is what hockey sense ultimately is. And so hockey sense is a hard thing. I know there's people that say, well, you can't help players have better hockey sense. I think that's what read and react drills does, is it starts, if you can learn ways to create small games, put parameters in place, put people in situations where they have to read and react, and you're starting to build those reactions the way you want them to react, those reactions the way they need to, whether it just be as simple as 2 guys can't get beat by 1 pass or whatever it might be. You're building hockey sense. And then how much time do you build into your practice for systems? And what I would say is, if you're, depending on the level, if you're 40% skill acquirement, 40% hockey sense, 20% systems, you're probably doing a good job. If you're 80% systems and 10 and 10, your players aren't getting better. And ultimately, that's what's going to help your team grow by far more than anything else within a singular year. That's what's going to help your team grow. So I watch system